On November 2nd, 2024, a young Iranian woman named Ahoo Daryaei made headlines worldwide after stripping down to her underwear on the campus of Islamic Azad University in Tehran. This unprecedented act of defiance against Iran's strict dress code for women brought immediate attention to the ongoing struggle for women's rights and personal freedoms in the country. Daryaei, a student and mother of two, allegedly resorted to her protest after being harassed by members of the Basij paramilitary force, who reportedly tore off her headscarf and attempted to humiliate her. Her bold gesture has since ignited a social media storm and raised concerns over her safety and well-being. Eyewitnesses captured videos of Daryaei standing in the middle of the university campus, dressed only in her underwear, as students and passers-by looked on in shock. Her stance was a powerful visual rejection of Iran's mandatory hijab laws, which require women to wear headscarves and loose clothing in public. The sight of her, stripped of the enforced layers, was both a protest and a call for solidarity, underscoring the intense emotional and mental strain placed on women under these laws. According to reports from Iranian news outlets, Daryaei was quickly detained by campus security guards and subsequently handed over to local authorities. Her whereabouts have remained unknown since her detention, sparking fears for her safety as rumors circulate about her being transferred to a psychiatric facility. Iran's strict dress code policies have been a point of contention for decades, with growing defiance from women who see them as oppressive. The Basij paramilitary force, a hardline group known for enforcing social order, allegedly harassed Daryaei on the university campus, leading to her reaction. This incident is not the first time the Basij and other moral policing bodies in Iran have been accused of using aggressive and coercive tactics to enforce the dress code. A spokesperson from Islamic Azad University, Amir Majob, stated that Daryaei was taken to a police station where she was reportedly under severe mental pressure and was later sent to a mental health facility. This claim, repeated by Majob and other officials, has drawn skepticism from international observers who argue that Iran often uses mental health claims to discredit dissenters and silence those who challenge social norms. Daryaei's act of defiance echoes the spirit of protest that erupted in 2022 after the death of Mahsa Amini, a young Iranian-Kurdish woman who died in police custody after allegedly violating the hijab mandate. Amini's death triggered unprecedented protests, with thousands of Iranian women publicly burning their headscarves and marching in the streets. The government's response was brutal, resulting in the deaths of over 550 protesters and thousands of arrests. While the protests eventually subsided under pressure from authorities, the movement they inspired continues to influence acts of resistance like Daryaei's. Prominent activist Hossein Ranaghi, who himself was detained during the 2022 protests, hailed Daryaei's action as an act of bravery and a cry from the bottom of the heart against oppression. In a post on X, Ranaghi drew attention to the courage it took for a young mother to risk her life and freedom in such a public way. The international community has taken swift notice of Daryaei's plight, with human rights organizations like Amnesty International calling for her immediate and unconditional release. Amnesty International has demanded that Iranian authorities protect her from torture and other ill treatment, and has called for independent investigations into allegations of abuse during her detention. The rights organization has chronicled numerous cases of abuse against women in Iranian detention facilities, raising concerns that Daryaei might be subjected to similar treatment. Mai Sato, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Iran, has also voiced her concern, stating that she would closely monitor the situation. Sato, who has been an outspoken critic of Iran's human rights abuses, urged the Iranian government to handle the case with transparency and respect for basic human rights. The narrative around Daryaei's mental state, presented by university officials, has raised red flags among human rights advocates. Observers note that Iranian authorities frequently use mental health accusations to discredit political and social dissenters, particularly those who draw significant public attention. Amnesty International has reported cases of political detainees being sent to psychiatric facilities where they are labeled unstable to justify their prolonged detentions and potential isolation. This tactic, critics argue, is an attempt to shift the focus from the political nature of the protest to personal instability, thus undermining the legitimacy of the protesters' cause. Daryaei's family, friends, and supporters are growing increasingly worried about her fate, especially given the secrecy surrounding her detention. Many fear that the accusations of mental illness may be a strategy to keep her detained indefinitely without accountability. Daryaei's protest comes at a time when many Iranians are calling for a reevaluation of laws governing women's rights and freedoms. The mandatory dress code, seen by many as a symbol of repression, has faced growing resistance as more women push back against the state's control over personal freedoms. Daryaei's act has rekindled the flames of the 2022 protests, and her supporters hope that her courage will serve as a catalyst for continued activism. Her story has already transcended national borders, symbolizing the broader struggle for human rights and gender equality in Iran. Whether Daryaei's fate will follow the tragic arc of past activists remains to be seen, but her defiance has sent a powerful message. The spirit of Iran's women cannot be silenced, even in the face of severe repression.